mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah. You know I be on a what? Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah.
Welcome to the Jim J. Bullock Show, featuring a memorialized picture of Jim J. Bullock. Those of you who know who he is, that's good for you. Welcome to Ride the Rebellion podcast. I'm your host, Drew Hall. With me today, as always, the king of the South Alabama Turndown, the king of, I don't think he's the king of Jagrundy. Oh, no, he's the king of the Jagrundys. I don't know how sketchy that sounds. He also has the same haircut as, if you put Dale and I together, then you get Jim J. Bullock. Dale Boyd of Jim J. Bullock Management.
If you know who Jim J. Bullock is,
This podcast.
I don't.
Dale has,
He's right here. He's sitting with us.
no, I have his urn
he
right here.
alive?
This is his ashes. This is his ashes right here.
That is a lie. That is
That's some
tequila.
fancy tequila. No, we have not been drinking. Today on the show, some stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I got.
Yeah, we had our people that we're running against debated last night.
Yeah, that was a debacle.
Were
From
we-
one side was probably pretty happy.
I think the biggest loser of the debate is America.
Is America.
To be honest. But hey, we're moving forward. We're recording during a hurricane.
Yep, that's true. So shout out to Bo Chitto. Hopefully you guys make it out okay. I'm sure you're going to have a nasty cleanup day. Too bad you just had a cleanup day. So good luck getting those numbers.
Make sure you guys get that cleaned up before October 5th when we come over for that roller coaster of
That's
love.
exactly right. That's right. Hey, great way to segue that one in there, pal.
Yeah.
I talked to Toby the other day. He's super stoked. He's very excited. He was telling me he's been getting great feedback on the little documentary, and he's ready for the roller coaster of love. That might not have been taken correctly. Look, a lot's going on in the community area of events. And so I kind of wanted to take a few minutes to talk about that. I also want to talk about maybe some of our favorite events. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times in mountain biking, and certainly when we've put stuff on, we have people constantly complaining. I mean, you can say it's a critique, but they complain before it happens. You can't critique it before it happens. But we do get a lot of that stuff. We also get like the good and the bad. And so I wanted to take a little bit of time. Dale's been to quite a few events. I've been to a few events. You guys probably have too. So feel free to throw some vomit in the comments. But like, I wanted to talk about some of that stuff. But before we do that, I wanted to jump in and talk about some of the events coming up. The first one, the most closest one, if you will, is coming up on September 20th and 21st, which is going to be the Jagrundy Jubilee. And that is Dale's show to deal with.
Yeah, and it's not mine solely. It's brought to you by our friends at Build Tune Ride.
That's
and it's
right.
going to be held at the Stockyard, which is at the same location. The Jagrundy Jubilee is basically nothing. I mean,
it's the Seinfeld of events.
Yeah, it's every event that we've gone to in the past, or every event that has been hosted in the past. No offense to any of them, they're great events. They're all great events. They're very good events.
They're very good. They're
doing-
good events. They're
But-
great.
but they're not going to be the greatest event. The greatest event this
You have
year.
to unbound from history in order to understand the event. How about that?
Oh,
Now we're
God.
equal. Now we've
Oh, yeah.
trashed both sides.
All right, so for real though, the Jagrundy, what we wanted to do was basically just get people together to hang out.
Yeah.
Without an agenda of like, there's no race planned, there's no event planned beyond just hanging out and riding bikes and socializing, and maybe bigger things come from this. I think the Jagrundy came from Jake Fest, essentially. So you never know what can happen. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to be said. You never know what kind of animals you might see.
Fair enough.
Or anything. And that's the beauty of it. And I think there's a lot of times with events, it's a race or it's something like that. So there's some anxiety leading up to
There's
it.
also
you know?
a mindset difference.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. Yeah. You know me, I'm competitive as F. So
Yeah.
there's an anxiety that leads up to it. And there's an anxious, like a Friday night of a Saturday race. There's a lot of anxiety around. Like people are like, am I prepared? Am I unprepared? Wow, that guy looks really prepared. Wait, he's got snacks and I don't.
But you're also sizing up the competition.
Oh,
so it gets
yeah.
to be one of those issues where you're like, suddenly you're looking at this person like,
Mhm.
I'm going to smoke that. Look at that guy's legs. They're so thin and small.
Exactly. And the first person that you see on the Friday night when you're picking up your packets, like, oh, I just came here to hang out. I'm just going to try to finish tomorrow and see the best. That's the most competitive person there.
That's
Trust me.
yeah.
That dude is just the most competitive. He's trying to talk himself out of being competitive.
No, 100%.
Because I've been that guy.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to finish. Just trying to see how
Yeah.
good I am. it's out the gates like boom, it's a race, bitch. Like
Yeah.
catch up, and then I'm puking. So there's that. We're trying to take that side out of it and just kind of and promote the stockyard. The stockyard is an amazing place that's little known, not as well known as some other places, but it is a destination that you can go to. You can get your bike tuned by Jody at Build Tune Ride. You can get your shock and suspension redone, and you can test it right there before you leave.
Yep.
A lot of bike shops, you'll hit them up and you get a ride around their parking lot.
Yeah,
you don't know until
you jump on it in the parking lot.
Exactly.
And then and really they're probably not going to spend a ton of time after the fact.
No. And so you can do it right there, right at his shop.
Right.
And it's progressive. My kids love it. They love going to the stockyard. Other people love it. They bring their whole families. It's pretty cool. It is in the middle of nowhere. So you are going there specifically to go there. So bring food, bring snacks, bring whatever you can to make it a day, make it a thing. Don't go there with the expectation that you're going to stop and go eat somewhere and come back. You're not. You're just going to eat.
I would liken it to this. I would say, like, we've talked about it. Obviously, they're a sponsor of the show, so I'm working in the commercial right now too. But Ruston is a destination. Like, if you're going to go ride the hub at Ruston, you're either on your way to Bentonville or somewhere else, which the stockyard arguably is the same vibe. Like, you might be on your way to Oak Mountain or even more north, and you could stop by the stockyard, tune your shock for what you're about to ride, because he has stuff to help you do that.
Correct.
But Lincoln Parish Park, or rather the hub at Lincoln Parish Park in Ruston, same kind of thing. You're either on your way to Bentonville or back, but at the same time, you can stop there, hang out, have a good time, enjoy something tasty, because there's stuff around there. That's the difference in the two. However, you're still driving there, still a destination. And I think it's important to consider the idea that a lot of times we do this all the time. Like, you go ride in Chattanooga, yeah, the 5 Points is 20 minutes away, but
Right.
you're literally in the middle of nowhere.
Mhm.
So if you leave Chattanooga and drive, you're middle of nowhere for a period.
Right.
And there's other trails all the way through North Georgia, same kind of vibe. So
Mhm.
it's not always about, we always want to talk about the other side of it, but in this case, I think it's an interesting idea because you're focusing on what's most important, which is the hangout,
Mhm.
the vibe, and riding with other people to help drive you and push you. So, like, if you're scared to get towed in on something, this is a chance to ask. I
Mhm.
imagine that the crew that's going to end up being there is way more friendly to that vibe than a crew at a race. You're going to have you're going to have more people willing to
More
to
free
help you.
ride type
Exactly
mindset.
right. That's exactly right.
And that's the thing. It's like we wanted to do something, and I say we, Eric Hagan, Jody, and I, we talked about it, and this is actually mostly Eric's brainchild. And it was like he wanted to do something that was just a party, just a fun thing to do. And it was like, we have the location, which is the stockyard, and like it's more central than what we have and more accessible than ours. And it's
And
better.
It's public.
And it's public ish. It's still private. You still have to pay to ride there.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still open.
So when you show up, like, we'll have bathrooms there. There's going to be a food truck there on Saturday. So bring your own food on Friday. Maybe we're going to cook some hot dogs and stuff on Friday night, but just come prepared to camp, self-sustaining. There is some power, but it's primitive. Like, make it what it is. Like, it's a weekend
Focus
in
on
the
your
woods.
ride.
Yeah. Focus on hanging out with people in the woods and riding your bike. Like, that's the focus. Don't worry about all the other stuff. Things will work themselves out. It'll be all right. It is $40 to get in. The food truck is separate, but $40 covers your riding and camping all weekend and some other stuff. So, I mean, $40 is cheap for a whole weekend to me.
No, I think look, I'm telling you, I think the vibe of it's great. I think it's awesome. You have a great group of people up there. Jody and Misha came to ride with us this past weekend, which just reinforces the very simple fact of, like, the best events in the world to me are group rides. So
Mhm.
what happens if you have a group ride with a lot of people you don't know? I think that's super fun. I
Heck
love the
yeah.
idea of it. The fact that that's what Jagrundy is like a giant multi-day group ride.
Mhm.
You're going to get all the joy and pleasure out of that stuff. And I think it's important to kind of consider those ideas when we're talking about not just community. There's going to be somebody you meet at Jagrundy who's going to help you. Oh, it's my phone ringing. There's going to be somebody you meet at Jagrundy that's going to help you deal with some other challenge, whether it's technical or creative or inspirational. I guarantee somebody there will help you do something else.
You
And
will grow this. You will grow that weekend.
100%.
You'll grow as a person. You'll grow as a rider. You'll grow as your network. You'll
Right.
grow you're going to grow.
Even if you're shy, you're still
You
gonna
might
get
grow
better.
because the food.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're going to grow.
Fair enough.
There is a couple things though, like bring your lights. I've made a post about it. Make sure you bring your headlights. Friday night, we're going to try to do a night ride which should be pretty fun. Night rides are a blast, anyways. And also, Jody wants to do an old school little mini enduro race. So if you have an old bike and you want to bring it, bring it. I think he's going to try to get some old bikes put together, so you have something to choose from if you don't have one.
Yeah.
But if you have an old bike, like let's say, not a jalopy bike or what are those, clunker, not a clunker. You can ride a clunker if you want, but let's go like older, than like 2015 and older,
Yeah,
or something
like something
that.
Aaron Schwinn would have ridden.
Yeah. Something with some narrow bars or something like that, and just not modern. So that's something else. If you want to throw it on your rack and bring it, cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Um,
And that's just one event. So if you are much more into the hangout / competitive spirit, then in October, on October 5th, you have the Roller Coaster of Love. I have a trophy back there behind Jim J. Bullock because I beat Dale in an unfair race, he says, but we're just going to go with whatever. And so anyway, if you have a chance, you can also go to that. And the thing about Roller Coaster of Love that's really interesting, one, even if you don't race, the vibe there is pretty cool, though different than Jagrundy, because Jagrundy's so laid back. Roller Coaster does have a little more structure, but they have so many events. And I think even this year on Friday night, they're doing like a haunted tour of Bogue Chitto.
Oh, nice.
So they're going to go around and tell you all these stories, and they have like, it's kind of, and I think it's on bikes. So I think you're like riding from, which is pretty creepy.
That's
and
pretty cool. Yeah.
And so they're doing some different stuff to make it much more community driven. And I'll tell you, like, you can see it this year, especially like Bogue Chitto has really pushed community, and it's paid off. We've seen that same change happen up in Birmingham. We've seen that same change happen in Montgomery area. Like obviously down here, like the fact that mountain bike groups are doing more community-based stuff is important. So this offers you that plus competition should you want to race in the enduro. And I think there's even an XC race.
Yeah, there's on Sundays XC race, on Saturdays enduro, and a jump jam, I think.
Yep.
Something like that.
I think the
pump track race.
Pump track. And behind bars is going to be there.
And dual slalom race.
Yeah.
Which their dual slalom course is second to none. It's badass.
Yeah.
I've ridden it. I've ridden the pump track. Pump track's badass.
And you might get to jump over the logo. Maybe that.
Yeah, the logo will be open.
It'll be open.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be open.
I'm sure it'll probably.
The logo will be open. There'll be some rad, like you said, the trio behind bars will probably be there doing some stuff that you'll never see a kid do anywhere else. One of them got second, or he won the first day at Cam Zink's Invitational. So that's pretty.
And then
rad.
They got flown to China to just be like to demonstrate mountain biking and tricks and stuff in China, which also makes me believe they're spies.
Oh yeah, they're definitely spies.
100% spies. And that's like a Disney movie waiting to happen.
Spy Kids. It was already a Disney movie.
But it's Spy Kids on bikes.
Ooh, even sweeter.
That's what I'm saying.
I like it.
Because that's a little more 90s.
No, that was
you had to
ET,
put
bro.
a vehicle element into it. Like late 80s, early 90s.
That's true.
Like Airborne. I heard you love that movie.
Mm.
Big rollerblader.
Super rollerblader. And that was filmed in, maybe not filmed, but placed in Cincinnati. So it was an Ohio movie. So eat it.
Eat it, he says. Yeah,
Pizza.
so there pizza. There's two of those, two events coming up. Pretty awesome. So then that leads me to my next question is like, what has been your favorite event? Like if you think about, because you've done a lot. You've done a lot of races early on because you were cross country ish oriented.
That almost, yeah. Go ahead. I have my pick, but
yeah, you were cross country oriented. Well, to maybe talk about some of those ones, and we're not trashing anybody, but it's just different. I've done a little bit of cross country. I've done a couple enduros, but I mean, at the end of the day, I have one too, and we're probably on the same page. But what are some of the events that you've touched on? Because I think it is kind of interesting to consider that.
So when I first started riding, I measured my skill set based on how fat you sat on the saddle. Yeah, I'm the fattest of the fastest in the running world. But how fast I was. So it was like I want to walk into a parking lot and be like, look at this, like WWF belt, like I'm fast.
Yeah.
But now I don't care, obviously. So in the beginning, it was like hitting every race I could possibly race. They used to have a Gulf South series, so there was a bunch of different races all over Mississippi, maybe Louisiana, mostly Alabama, mostly that area. So I did a lot of those. I loved it, I guess, at the time, but now that I look back, I don't love compared to what I do now. Like it's a different style. But I did so many races in such a small amount of time that I can have a great comparison level. You know, like I can compare them really well. I progressed from XC to like, let's do something crazy. And John Mackey and I decided we were going to do Skyway. We had no idea what it was. We had no idea how to prepare for it or anything like that. And we signed up for the 60-ish mile. And we've talked about Skyway on here a ton of times, but that was our intro to ultra racing. And
Bull Gap Aid Station, if you guys don't remember.
yeah. So I've done that race today. Actually popped up on my Facebook memories. Fool's Gold. I did that race in North Georgia. Today was a memory from it. It was 4 hours on a bike and 38 miles, which everybody's like, "Oh, I can do it way faster." It's all mostly single track. At the beginning, it's double track, and it's brutal. It was like 5,000 feet of climbing, and it was not flat. It was like I rode up hills and some more hills, and it was
brutal.
So the single track is like at Fool's Gold. Fool's Gold's in Dahlonega, Georgia. It's a race that's coming up, I think, this weekend. It's a great race if you have time, and if that's your thing. The coolest thing was I needed my enduro bike to go downhill because the downhills are that gnarly,
Right?
And it's single track. But I was on my cross country bike because I needed to pedal up the
How
hills.
did the other cross country people? Because I know some of the guys that went up there with you, and I don't even think they have dropper posts.
No, they didn't. There's shout out Ryan Turner. I don't know. Ryan's kind of gone by the wayside, but Ryan gave me a heads up the day before about this race. And he said, look, man, and he's a XC guy, he was doing the 100-mile and he was like, dude, I'm going to beat you home. And I was like, no, you're not. Like, I will drown you in the creek. You will not pass me. He passed me, but that's not the point. He passed me at the finish line. So It's fair. But there's a spot. He said, listen, when you come to this spot that looks like the hand of God just took a big scoop of dirt out and threw it away. He's like, just go straight down the center. And there's lines around all this stuff. Like you can go around. He's like, I'm only telling you because I know you can handle it and you can ride it. He's like, you'll see people peeling off. He goes, it's faster. Just go through the center. And I remember thinking like, where's this at? It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. And I see this spot where people are going both ways. And I was like, the hand of God. And I just went straight through. And when I got done, I was like, why did he think I can handle that? Like that was scary as fuck. Like it was for real, a death march through a hole in the middle of the ground. I got done. I was like, Ryan, dude, why did you tell? He goes, I go around that shit, dude. That's crazy. He's like, why would you go through that? And so it was like, so that must have been the rookie hazing of that race. I don't know, but Fool's Gold. So Fool's Gold riding was awesome. This is where I'm going to I'm going to answer your question. I talked around it the whole time.
No, it was good. I wanted to get context.
So the riding there that race was amazing. Brookhaven, Mississippi race was amazing at Mount Zion. If you have a chance to ride out there, it's a great place to ride.
Good place. Great place.
Yeah. Obviously, Bug Chitto is a great place to ride and race. I've raced there. Bump and Grind is amazing. The enduro race is awesome. The atmosphere is pretty cool. But my favorite Skyway, just the atmosphere of Skyway. I'm a veteran of the race and the party now, and it's a family reunion every year. The registration's limited, so you get the same people there every single year, and you show up and everybody's hugging and high-fiving and being like, good to see you again. No one stays in touch. Phones don't work.
Yeah.
You're having a cookout on Friday night, and everybody's just sitting around. That, to me, is the best. Like, that's why I do it. I mean, that's why I still go and I don't race it.
That's what I was going to say. And you're able to offer like help. So like you guys are literally helping riders accomplish their goal or dream or whatever it is. I think it's pretty cool that somebody's doing that stuff.
Yeah. That race. And I know like Bump and Grind is different though. Like it's a great atmosphere. It's a great race. It's a lot of fun. But you're in like, it's not as secluded. Like it's the only time I'm going to Sylacauga for that. I'll go to Oak Mountain multiple times a year, but I'm not, no offense, Billy Bean. I love your place, but one time a year is like makes it special.
Yeah.
Like if I go there too much, I'll be like, I was just here.
Yeah.
I've done the Fat Tire Fest in Coldwater. I think that's coming up. Shout out to those guys. This year they made it free.
Gerard.
Yeah. It's free this year from NEBA, and it looks like it's going to be pretty cool. Some of the same stuff's going on again. They got the Coldwater cabins up there are finally done, so you can camp up there and stuff. So that's pretty cool. That event was a lot of fun. I think it'll be more fun if they have all the things in one spot. I feel like having them spread out was a little bit
that may
rough.
be a little bit of tourism dollars going to work there. Cause I think it's, I don't know this for sure.
Well, I have PTSD from the showers.
Yeah. Right. Chase may be able to answer this, Chase Gerard, but, I'm sure that part of the reason why it's free is I'm sure there's some level of civic money involved in that.
There's a different, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes because I do not know. I don't know. I'm speculating, completely speculating. I do know that their chapter is mountain bike, road bike, and other so it's all of them. So I don't know if they got bounced, like they got Title IX out of Fat Tire Fest. I don't know. That's a speculation. Yeah. Maybe a road bike event maybe took precedence or something. I don't
maybe
know.
so.
No offense, y'all, from Nebo, if I'm still overstepping. That's just a speculation.
No, I think it's a legit statement. And I think it's important. Cold water's fun. I can imagine riding it with a really large group of
Oh,
people.
dude.
It'd be a super blast.
Listen, I'm stepping on your toes again just
That's all
because
right.
it's the
That's what you
event.
do.
That is what I do. It's what the vice president's supposed to do, right? Like, hey,
Yes,
tone
unlike
it down.
some people.
So the Friday night at Fat Tire Fest, they have a night ride, and it started in the park in Anniston. We rode up the road together, and when you're riding up in the Anniston side of Coldwater and all those lights, it is awesome. Like, it's Kevin Black and I went, and he was like, listen, we've got to get to the front because going down, we don't want to be behind people. And it was so dusty. I had never ridden at Coldwater in my life. And so we're riding up this hill, and I was like, dude, Kevin, how many more switchbacks are there? And you look down, and it's just lights all the way down, and you're like, dang, that's crazy. Snake of people. He's like, I told you, this is why we want to be in the front. So we get all the way to the top, and I was like, now we got to go down, right? And it's so dusty, so dusty.
Crazy.
Kevin, thank God, had a tail light, because every so often I could see his tail light flash, like through the dust, because we were going so fast on the way down. There was only one person in front of Kevin, and then Kevin and myself. So we were going so fast down, and I have never ridden these trails, don't have a clue. I just have his tail light to follow through the dust.
Brilliant.
Can't see, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I rode that trail. We go home, drank some beers, whatever, not home, but to the park, come back. I rode that trail 3 more times that weekend. Never once went as fast as I did in the dark. Like, in the daytime, I never once touched my PR. My PR is in the dark. Like, that is insane to me because I was flying in the daylight. Like, I know how fast I was going, but just trying to keep his tail light. So that shout out to Fat Tire Fest Friday night light ride.
And that's what I'm saying is, like, you have these interesting events like that occur across the board. And it's like every event has something. If it's pure competition, great.
Mm-hmm.
But where I am in my life and where you are, like, I have a very competitive business. So I enjoy a little bit of competition, but I'm more into the hangout because I appreciate learning from other people. That's just the way my brain works. And so being able to go to some of these events like Jagrundy or even the race, I just blanked on the name, the Bull Gap aid station stuff.
Oh, Skyway.
All of those kind of events are, I don't need to necessarily race those. If I do, it'd be for me. I'm not racing for anything more than just to say I did.
By the way, hey, everybody start pushing Drew because he's got to do Skyway this year. I think that this is the natural progression. He needs to do Skyway.
We'll see how that works out. It's always like right in the middle of spring break.
You got to do it.
I know. Well, I have children.
Well,
demand to see Taylor Swift.
And we just dress up like Taylor Swift.
I mean, I would do that too. I have no problem doing that.
You got to get her to endorse us now.
Lord. The only thing we could probably get Baylor gift.
Yeah. It's like some fat dude that dresses up like Taylor 100%,
Swift. 100% I'm all in. I mean, that's better for our campaign anyway, if you think about it.
It is true.
Yeah.
It's more relatable.
It's more relatable. I think mine is, I'm going to say this not because we put it on, but because the vibe and energy that I hope you guys capture at Jagrundy too, the audience and Dale and them was Jankfest. And the reason I say that is because while Jankfest did have a very casual race vibe, it also was 3 days of just absolute insanity of just hanging out in
the rain.
Right?
The rain was what made it better, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it was nuts. I mean, there was frustration. I went through every emotional range just trying to get it.
There was survival.
Yeah. There was 100%.
I don't think anybody will ever be able to understand what has come from that because like the relationships that were bonded and the people that didn't know each other that are now doing huge things together, like big things for the mountain bike community that we don't even comprehend.
And career wise, I mean, there's just so much that came from that event that like, that's what I'm saying. That vibe, that like, hangout. I mean,
disease I got from the water.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think about the Friday night weirdly jumping into the darkness jam, which was terrifyingly fun.
It was awesome.
It's that kind of stuff. And my point is like, yes, that has a competitive element. There is an actual prize that is, we value it, meaning it's important, but there is a prize that we keep kind of quiet until it comes back around. But the idea behind it, this whole idea of like hang out first, rides, or, race second, I think that sort of energy is where things can go in the right direction. It's the same thing of like bump and grind has the opportunity to have the hang out first, ride second, though they're in a much more competitive market. And
it's historically was built on a race.
That's right. But I
So,
think that if there were a Friday night element
yeah,
that tied in, that was about just the hangout.
it's getting past. So like Friday night, their tradition is packet pickup at Cahaba Cycles. Like that's
Yeah.
always been the tradition. So that's what all the locals do.
Right.
Well, people that come don't.
Right.
So like we didn't know that. We had our own little party and
Yeah.
we're like, where's everybody at?
Yeah.
So I do agree. Friday night could be the night that they could go crazy and have some super
I would
fun.
do it too, because I would be like drinking near beers and just lying about it and be like, "I'm so drunk," and then I would get everybody else who's drunker than me, and that's how I'd win.
That'd be
The
awesome.
Ron Burgundy method.
Yeah, I think Friday night could be really cool.
But it's any of those. Anytime
anything.
there's a Friday night, I think it's fun. I mean,
Yeah, Friday night.
post race, people are tired. They're typically going to start falling apart, or they're gassed. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But I think that Friday night you could create a unique hangout.
Well, I
environment
think
anywhere.
that there's another thing that could be done at a lot of races, and we talked about doing this at Skyway, is let's have a Friday night volunteers race.
Yeah.
Like whoever's not racing tomorrow, like let's do a little volunteer mini Duro or something funny that's just simple and like not serious, but for the people that aren't really racing that are just volunteering. And then you get the racers to cheer for them, and then it's just the vibe. It's just the whole vibe. By the way, don't steal that idea. It's my idea. Patent pending.
Patent pending.
Pat pending.
We'll send Pat after you with some. Did you see my post? I had a birthday recently, and Pat posted on my timeline. But
You were
just get the
cringing. You're
Facebook
like,
notification. I was like, "Oh Lord, what has he done? What has he done?"
What is
And I
our,
went, and it was nice. It was pleasant.
what's our press secretary
Yeah,
putting up?
yeah, exactly right. And then because the other scare, I have another buddy named Patrick. Shout out to Patrick Judge. That dude will say whatever he wants on his timeline. He doesn't care. He's like a Marine, just bulldog. Like the dude is just a beast. I mean, literally, he's a square. His body is a square. He's just solid square muscle. He's like Andy.
Oh yeah,
Right. But Andy's nicer than this guy, I assure you.
Maybe.
Depends on the. Depends on
He
the
made
week.
it through his. He made it through. My friend Andy was on a reality TV show recently, and he was worried about the repercussions of the reality TV show. He made it through. It's over now. Nothing bad happened. He's good.
They didn't paint him in a bad light.
Nope, he dodged that
Well, that was nice of him.
bullet. Yeah, it was on TLC, so it was a big.
Yeah,
It was a big
real
show. Yeah.
I'm sure some of your wives have watched it.
Yeah.
Or some of you dudes that don't want to admit it, you guys have watched it too. I mean, I admit that I watched Down the Hatch. That's not what it's called. Below Deck. That's what it's called. I watched the crap out of some Below Deck.
Down the Hatch should be a TV show about food.
It probably is.
Yeah.
It was probably on Food Network and it's probably lame.
Also, I picked up a show today, but I'm not going to say what it's called because it's on Outside TV. But it has a color bike.
Yeah.
It's a color bike show.
Yeah.
Not. So it's a
It's
reality TV show about mountain biking.
Yeah, is it the race one?
No, where they do they do events like it's like Survivor on bikes.
Yeah, but the person that wins gets a contract.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And it's a color.
Yeah, it's rhymes with stink bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just never like saying it.
Yeah, but there are new seasons out. Season 3.
Yeah, I was watching it today.
Oh, it's good. So here's
I
why
don't
it's
know.
good. No. Here's why it's good.
Okay.
The girl that keeps winning all the enduros, Flo McNamara, whatever her
Yeah,
name is
yeah,
from Chile,
she's
she
from it?
won it.
Okay.
She won the
It's like
entire
American
thing.
Idol for mountain bikes.
Yeah, but she ended up being a good rider. I don't know what happened to the second person.
So
or
it's
whatever.
a weird dynamic. So like today, the challenge was they had to take their bikes, put them in a rental car, drive the rental car to the top of the mountain, and then race down. But they weren't allowed to work on their own bikes. Like they had to have their partner. Like it's a male female combo.
Oh, this is different. Maybe they've changed.
Yeah, they must have
from the
changed
other
it. So
seasons.
the male had to work on her bike, and she had to work on his. And then one team got disqualified because the dude double checked his bike after she put it together, and you weren't allowed to do
Oh,
that.
And the idea was, yeah, but I mean, there's a little bit of a safety situation.
Yeah, right.
there.
That's what he said. He's like, any good mechanic double checks another mechanic's work before
Yeah.
you take off. But whatever. So check that out if you want to watch some.
It's
mountain
actually
bike
look.
content.
I've watched. If this is the same show, I've watched 2 seasons of it, and I enjoyed it. I loved every second because, like,
Trail Forks is a sponsor too. I saw
yeah,
their
that's
logo.
definitely the same show.
Yeah.
After a while, and they're in Canada somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
After a
BC.
while, like it gets it. You're like you start liking certain people, and
It's
you're like, I
sort of-
want this person to win.
Yeah.
And Flo is somebody I wanted to win because she fought so hard to get to her spot, and she does. And now she's paid off.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know who's the bike sponsor. It was Orbea.
I didn't see the bike sponsor. I don't know.
Right.
I
Maybe
wasn't
they-
paying
maybe they
attention.
changed
I
it,
was
but-
working on my bike while it was on behind me.
Got it. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, I think the whole takeaway from this particular conversation was just like, if you have events out there and you have a cool event and you want to go do an event or you want to experience it, first off, don't be afraid. Just go do it. Like every time I've gone to an event, I might have been nervous. There was one I've talked about before, like my first and only XC race. I came in third, but I probably shat. I don't know how many times on the way over.
Yeah, the
'cause
PRPs, the pre-race poops.
I had pre-race poops all the way to Bethel or wherever the hell it was, because you can't poop at Bethel. You just can't do it. You're gonna get a rattlesnake right up the old ding hole. So, but once I did it, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the hangout afterwards. And then, other races, whether it was coaster and whatever it was, all of those things have been fun. And some of them, maybe you get nervous or you don't want to look back. Just go ride. Just go have a good time. If nothing else, just go vibe out. Because I assure you, most of those places have trails that aren't part of the circuit, and you can still get your bike ride in. Because at Bump and Grind, for example, there's still places you can go ride.
Yeah,
like they have so much
absolutely.
trail, you don't even have to worry about it. There's some stuff that's so sick that they don't use on the trail side that's super fun. So I would suggest doing that and just getting off your Tookus and go experience something.
Plus, you're supporting something, right?
That's right.
Like 99% of the time, maybe 100, it's in like support of an organization or support of a foundation or support of whatever it is. So you're helping other people out by having fun.
Look, Jody, a sponsor of the show, and Bill 2 Ryan, I met at Bump and Grind because I was having bike trouble. He offered to fix it for free, tried to pay him. He said no.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's how it works now, but back then for us.
No, he's got to pay for our sponsorship
That's
now.
correct.
So.
That's accurate.
No more freebies.
No freeze. But like he was very nice about it. And so it's one of those things. And I gained from it. From Toby, the same thing. Like, again, we've talked about it before. You can go take from Dirt Coaster. Whoops. Faux pas, folks. You can go take from Summit Bike Academy. Some shred with Summit Bike Academy.
Yep.
Is that correct? And I think I got a text that they bought summitbikeacademy.com.
Ah, see, they can redirect.
Yeah, finally.
Perfect.
But again, you can go to the event, meet Toby, and then take classes. So if you're not unsure, go to the event, meet Toby, hang out, ride Bogue Chitto, have a good time. But also you have an opportunity to take classes down the road, which again, they're one of our sponsors, and we're grateful.
All of our sponsors have come from being out and riding.
That's correct.
Toby, I met Toby in the parking lot at Bogue Chitto because I'm an asshole and I put a flag up, and he's like, "Who is this?
Yeah,
Who is this jackass?" And so that you meet people doing that. I mean, I've met Jody just from being in event stuff, and
Chase, you met
Chase at Sorba Summit, which shout out. Let's bump their thing up. It's in the fall. It's October 5th and 6th.
Same day as the
yeah. It's the I think it's the Bump Fall Festival, but it's also the Sorba Summit for the fall.
I forgot that was the same day. So
yeah,
yes, that's part of the event package. We should have put in the front, but yes.
Sorry.
Fall Festival, October 5th in Birmingham and Sorba Summit. Lots of riding up there, and that is a hangout. That's a pure hang.
That'll be a hang. There's tons of cool stuff he's got planned. But there's that, and let's think who are all their sponsors. Katie and Joseph. I just talked to them all day the other day. Joseph is trying to be amphibious right now, and he is addicted to kayaking. So if you guys have heard of the Alabama 650, it starts in North Alabama. They kayak all the way down to the bay. Joseph qualified for that, and he's about to do that.
You are kidding me.
Yeah, so
he's also the person we had on here. If you guys have not heard the episode, he's hilarious, but he also did the TNGA.
Yeah, he did TNGA. So now he's moved on. I texted him the other day, and I was like, dude, Pro Cycle needs you to stop being so amphibious. They need you on a bike.
Right.
And he's like, I'm going through a phase right now. I got to get it out. So you guys cheer him on. If you see anything about the Alabama 650, please. Those dudes, guys and ladies that do that are incredible. That's nuts to be on a kayak or canoe or whatever the hell they're on for that many miles in the water by yourself. Paddleboard, I think there's a paddleboard, dude.
Good grief.
So like that's a long way down a river by yourself.
Oh,
so,
yeah, it's brutal.
And the water's not clean, as he so eloquently told me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not safe water. So those are some of the stuff. And Kevin Black, obviously, we met him from riding. Kevin Black, man, wore a tattoo. So those are just, and Eric Hagan. I mean, like we talk about Eric a lot on here. Eric came down and stayed with me, and got to know Eric even more better.
Yeah.
So that, like, having people like that you are associated with. So when you show up to events regionally, you know people, right?
Yep.
Like I show up to Dothan, I know Eddie Peterson, the Gold Chain Mafia, because I met him at a race, and I'm not afraid to talk to people, obviously.
Right.
I met all these people, like, everywhere I go. Nixon. I met Nixon in Tallahassee he works at Epic Bike Shop. So give them a shout out. But I met him at Sorba Summit just because he was signing us in. I was like, dude, this guy's badass. Like, I'm gonna talk to this guy. Got to be friends with him. Now here we are, a couple years later.
Right, and
He's
just
still
busting
blowing
our
up
balls
my
day in and day out.
blowing up my DMs with dick pics. So
Yeah.
Richard is
Yeah,
what I mean.
Richard Nixon picks.
Yeah.
That's correct. I think it's always a good endeavor, and it gives you an opportunity to meet more folks, and I think that's the important part. That's why the hangs are important. If you want to go ride solo, look, I've talked about it before. I enjoy it too, but I will say it was a reminder this weekend. We had a nice group of people, and we got to spend a lot of time with them. And do me a favor, when you see Eric Hagen, I can't remember if Eric hates germs or not, but it doesn't really matter. Just walk up and hug that guy. Hug him out of gratitude for all that he has done to help promote mountain biking throughout the entire United States. He deserves a big ass hug for it.
And don't wash your hands.
And definitely don't wash your hands. Maybe even put some chocolate pudding on the back of your hands. And then when you give him no, he would be mad as hell if you ruined one of his Pit Viper jerseys.
That is true.
Yeah. So don't do that.
You see him, he'll go, what was it? When the dude Killdozer, it'll be like Kill Vanner.
That's exactly right.
Whatever.
He'll be Bob Saget.
Bulletproof
Like,
it.
there's poop everywhere. From Dumb and Dumber.
Was that Bob Saget?
Yeah. God rest him.
Hmm.
I think that's maybe when they're young. Like it's the
the
teenage one.
It was the Dumb and Dumber the second one.
Is that what it was? They went back in time in Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, I think so.
Is that a Dumb and Dumber sequel?
Yeah, that's the sequel. Dumb and Dumber, and then Dumb and Dumber like with Tourette's. I think. I don't know. You're the movie guy.
I don't know either. That's going to do it for this episode of the Ride with Ben podcast. Just remember what Dale Boyd says.
Right now, go to your bike, loosen up your seat post, and just move it around so it doesn't get stuck.
That's actually the best tip we've ever given on the show.
No, it's just the tip.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what?